Am I the asshole for making my stepson clean the whole house instead of going to a birthday party? I'm sorry if the post is too long. I want to really explain the situation. If any more info is needed, do ask. And #X200B. I, 39M, have a 11-YRO daughter and a 12-YRO stepson. They get along well most of the time, but like most kids, they fight and annoy each other. My stepson developed a habit of going into my daughter's room and take things to his room to upset her, like a t-shirt, a favorite pen, a teddy bear, etc. etc. I have told him to stop doing that repeatedly, and told him that each time he does it, he will be punished. The first time after that he took something, he was on trash duty for a week. Next time he had to wash the car. Next time he had to help me mow the lawn, which he hates, etc. He pretty much stopped upsetting my daughter after this. My wife says I am being too strict, but I told her his behavior is unacceptable and he has to be disciplined. Yesterday was my stepson's best friend's birthday party and my stepson was really happy to go, very excited about it. A few days before this party, he entered my daughter's room and took her diary. When my daughter found out, she got very upset and told me and my wife about it. My wife suggested we discipline her son by making him wash the dishes that night. I told her this has become a big problem and just washing the dishes isn't nearly enough. We sat both kids down and I explained to my stepson that what he is doing is taking my daughter's stuff without her consent and that is not okay. Stepson said he just does it to annoy her. I said I know, but he has to stop. He said she annoys him too, like how she always sits in the armchair he likes most. This was the example he gave. And I said that I know that and she is disciplined for it as well, but what he is doing is worse. I said I know they like each other and are happy to be siblings, and are just teasing each other. But this breach of consent needs to stop. He cannot enter her room uninvited, much less enter her room and take things. Stepson then yelled at me, saying that this is his house. My daughter and I moved in with my wife and stepson years ago, and he will enter the room whenever he wants. I told him that's it, he isn't going to the party and will instead clean the house with me and my wife that day. He is obviously upset. My wife says that was an asshole move from me, but I think it's the only way he will learn. Not the asshole, but start to teach him what consent is, and insist on it, until he learned, because kids who don't learn to respect consent can become adults who don't respect consent in other things too, like sex for example. I know it is a big stretch, and he probably won't become a bad person, he is just a kid testing boundaries, but these bad adults stems from something too and were kids once. So really insist on consent. It sounds like stepson is feeling resentful that you guys moved into his home without him having any say in the matter and is trying to assert his control over the house. Maybe also feeling unsure of his place. Have you all gone to any family therapy to manage the bumps of blending together? Does stepson get any one-on-one time with his mom without you and your daughter there? Do you have any bonding activities with your stepson to establish a good relationship? Can you get a lock for daughter's door? He needs to learn about boundaries and consent. But punishment alone isn't going to get at any of the underlying issues. If you want this to stop, he needs a better way to express and deal with his feelings about your family. Not the asshole. Maybe missing the party will finally bring it home. If not, try removing an item your son likes for a week every time he does this. Not the asshole. The issue of consent and the entitlement to insist he can go wherever he pleases needs immediate intervention. But I want to caution against using typical household chores as punishment. Dishes, mowing lawns, washing cars. Teaching your kids to view chores as a punishment will likely result in teens, adults that will avoid doing these at all costs. You are setting yourself up for endless arguments with your teens about cleaning up after themselves, and potentially leading them to enter relationships where they will refuse to contribute equally to the housework. In my eyes, not the asshole. I thought the punishment extreme, but he took her journal, which is a highly private item, and his last comment sealed the deal. He's clearly doing this because he has a issue with you. I bet he doesn't like the fact that you married his mom and moved yourself and your daughter in. Am I the asshole for refusing to allow my sil and her kid to go to my vacation house with us for the week? My husband, 30M, and I, 29F, are planning a week-long vacation at my vacation home that I inherited from my parents some years back. We are leaving Friday and coming home next Friday. We are bringing my 3 kids, 12 male, 9 male, 6 male. My husband had mentioned bringing along our mutual friends, Rob and Trish, and their 2 daughters, 11 and 7, and I was completely okay with this. I them him to invite them, as our kids get along great and they are good company. The vacation home has lake access with canoes and kayaks and plenty of fishing, swimming areas and a nice-sized fire pit. However, they unfortunately can't make it due to work. My sil, Jen, 46F, has a 12-year-old daughter named Emma. I know I'm 100% going to sound like an asshole here, but I do not like this child and I can barely tolerate my sil. My sil raised Emma to believe she had autism. She still thinks the doctors simply don't want to diagnose her, despite them running multiple tests and stating it's truly just ADHD. Everything that Emma does is excused as, well, she has autism and doesn't think or react the same way as other kids. She is a massive bully to both kids and adults. I can't even count how many times she has looked at me while I'm talking and said, "Will you just stop talking?" It's really annoying. Stuff like that. Well, last week Emma was pulled from school for mental health because she bullied the wrong kid and it backfired. So my sil pulls her from school, excuses it as autism and says she needs a much-needed mental health break. My sil knows we are going and asked my husband if they could come. So he asks me if I would be willing to let my sil and her kid tag along, and I immediately said no. Absolutely not, under no circumstances. He says he understands why I wouldn't want them to, but claims maybe being away from electronics and the city will help his niece, and I said that I wasn't willing to have a shitty time to test whether or not it helps his niece and that this is supposed to be our break, not an added headache. His final argument was that the boys could use the company, and I laughed and said, "In what world do you think the boys would want her company considering they don't even like going to her house?" He put his hands up and said, "All right, no problem," tells his sister I said no, and now she is fuming at us, saying her kid needs the break and she feels like we are being unnecessarily harsh. If her child needs a break, then she is welcome to provide that break. She doesn't get to make other people do it for her. It's your house, so your decision. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Tell your husband that he can volunteer to spend a week with his sister and his niece away from electronics and get back to you on if it's helped at all. Or even just a weekend. Let him do the experiment without subjecting your children or yourself to it. Without knowing him, I'd feel pretty confident that he'd say no to that pretty quickly if he knew there wouldn't be extra buffers around. Not the asshole. Even if Emma has autism, it is an explanation for behavior, but not an excuse. You can explain how it contributes to the problem behaviors while still addressing and stopping them. If she's going to affect your family negative, and display behavioral issues that her mother will not manage, I can't blame you for not wanting her along. The other kids should not be bullied on their vacation. She feels like we are being unnecessarily harsh. Tell her you can't help it, it's your self-diagnosed, autism, acting up. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This is a vacation, not a therapy session or summer camp for sil and difficult child. A week away from electronics will not make her more tolerable, less in fact. Let sil be mad about it. Edit. Thank you for the award, kind Redditor. Not the asshole. Your vacation home. Your vacation, your rules. That's the bottom line. Doesn't matter how well behaved the kid is or how much you like or dislike the sil, it's your prerogative on who to invite. Sil is entitled as fuck to think she can just invite herself and daughter to the vacation. Am I the asshole for calling Mill out on her allergies? For as long as I've been with my husband, Mill has been claiming she is deathly allergic to egg, ginger, and she can't have a lot of salt in her meals. So I've been actively avoiding these ingredients in meals I cook. She has even had allergic reactions to food she suspects has those ingredients. About a week ago I hosted a dinner for Sil's birthday and made Sil her favorite salted caramel mousse. It's easily one of the best things I make. This recipe has taken me years to make perfectly and I keep it a huge secret, but it has a lot of egg and a lot of salt in it. So keeping in line with Mill's dietary requirements, I make her a simple chalk caramel mousse with no eggs or salt in it. Dessert rocks around and I bring out a tray of the salted caramel mousse, put it on the table and tell Mill, "I'll be back with your mousse in a second. Don't eat this one, it's salted caramel." I go to the kitchen, come back and Mill has already taken a salted caramel mousse, which was meant for me, and is shoveling it into her face as quickly as possible. I yell, "No, Mill. It has egg and salt in it." She keeps eating and says, "I know. But everyone always says it's so nice and I wanted to try it. A little bit won't hurt." She devours the entire mousse, which wasn't a small portion, and asks if there is any more because it was so yummy. I tell her no, there isn't anymore, but what's going on? I thought she was allergic to those ingredients. She tells me well, she's technically not allergic, but she doesn't like the taste of egg. It makes her sick, so she just tells people she is allergic, and that way people don't make her food with those ingredients. She still eats cakes, pies etc. where she can't taste the ingredients. She just doesn't like to eat them if she can taste them. I tell her she shouldn't say she is allergic if she isn't. There is a big difference between not liking something and being allergic to something. I've always gone out of my way to avoid those ingredients in her food and even purchased separate bowls and spoons to cook her food with the avoid cross-contamination. I've been substituting ingredients for years to ensure that I'm not feeding her something she is allergic to. She laughs and says it's not a big deal. Lots of people do it. She also told me I'm being a drama queen. I told her it is a big deal. She could have just told me she didn't like it. It would have saved me a fortune in substituting ingredients or making separate meals. Everyone at the table agreed that claiming to have an allergy when you're not allergic is a shitty thing to do. She sent me a message yesterday saying that I shouldn't have called her out in front of everyone. Now no one will take her seriously when she says she is allergic. I replied with, well, you're not allergic to them. So it doesn't really matter, does it? She texted my husband that she's not coming over unless I apologize to her for calling her out in front of everyone because I made her feel bad. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your mill on the other hand is a huge awe. This undermines everyone who has a deathly food allergy. It's expensive and time-consuming to accommodate, and for some people food safety is critical. Here she just claims allergy to have her preferences met wherever she goes, and she will pick and choose when the allergy excuse suits the occasion? Not okay. For anyone who has an actual life-threatening allergy, she deserved to be called out. Not the asshole. Honestly, her threat of not coming over seems to be the trash taking itself out. She took advantage of your kindness and consideration, and is upset she got called out for it. Not the asshole. She lied, got caught in that lie. She ate the moose in front of everyone, then gets all but hurt that you called her out on her lie. And now she wants you to apologize? For what? I'm sorry you got caught lying? Not the asshole. She has been lying to people for years, and she ate your dessert in public. You have every right to call her out in the same public. People who claim allergies are a threat to people with real allergies because people are less likely to believe them. Not the asshole. It's people like her that make people with actual allergies not get taken seriously. If I were in your shoes, all she'd ever eat at my house from now on would be omelets and pretzels. Not the asshole. That conniving piece of. How rude. She is a piece of work. Not only did she lie for years, she stole your portion. She straight up stole your portion of dessert and had the audacity to ask for more. I'd stop cooking for her altogether. She made you spend additional time and money on ingredients to substitute when a simple, "Oh, I dislike the taste," statement would have sufficed. Never apologize. This is your hill to die upon. Am I the asshole for donating my breast milk instead of just giving it to my neighbor? I'm a 29-year-old female, and I am currently undergoing the process of donating my breast milk to a milk bank. I held a barbecue to celebrate my oldest child's birthday, 6, and invited just about the whole neighborhood that had kids her age. Well, as the adults started talking together, one of the main topics was about the formula shortage. My second child is no longer interested in breastfeeding as he has been enlightened to solid fruits now. I told everyone that I was very concerned for the NICUs, pediatric ICUs, since I worked with them not too long ago. I figured that since I'm still lactating and have an abundance of breast milk left over, I decided I would try and donate to them. Well, one of my neighbors, Sally, just recently had a baby who's about 3 months now. She started hinting to the fact that formula is hard to come by, so expensive to order now that she's going through drastic measures of ordering foreign products from Asia, Europe. She said that she's spending at least $600 a month now just to feed her baby, and how she would have been so grateful if she had a third of my production. We all laughed because we thought it was a joke, and then the conversation changed. So today, I received a text from Sally asking if I could give her a few of my bags of breast milk since she's low on formula and she couldn't get more until the end of the week. I then told her exactly this: "Hey Sally, I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable giving your child my breast milk as it's the equivalent as giving your child blood, and I'm still going through the process of getting it health screened." I thought it was a good response, but she then texted back that I was a monster and a biatch for letting her child starve. She then told me that she would report me to the authorities for child abuse against her kid, then also threatened CPS on my kids because I obviously only cared about myself. I showed my husband these texts and he got very upset, saying that we need to contact the authorities or a lawyer at least. I don't want her kid to starve, but I really don't feel comfortable just handing out my breast milk. especially with all the Heath cursors and such. Am I the asshole here? Edit. Hello everyone. I just wanted to update the post a little bit. Yes, breast milk is basically blood. A lot of things are passed through breast milk that your doctor should have informed you about before, while you were pregnant. A few examples: HIV, syphilis, herpes, hepatitis C, CMV, allergies, elements in chemotherapy, chemicals and medications, etc. Your body biologically and chemically makes food for your baby specifically, not for the masses. That is why I'm going through the screening process to make sure I am able to donate. Plus the milk bank pasteurizes, cleans after it passes the screening process. I understand that women have done peer-to-peer breastfeeding for years, but have you read any of the research of babies that caught the diseases, viruses from the wet nurse? How many babies died because they weren't getting the correct nutritional value because the milk was not made for them? I am not denying Sally's baby food for an evil intent. I want their child to be safe and find a healthy source of food from something that has been medically approved. Would you have the same thought if my milk was deemed unsafe for public consumption? Since I have a surplus amount of milk, would you still want me to give unsafe milk to Sally's child? And yes, if my milk was deemed safe and was properly screened, pasteurized and cleaned, then I would give her that. Not straight from me, but once it's gone through all the channels. Thank you to all the kind comments, and I have taken your advice as well regarding the messages. I'd love to see that report for child abuse against her kid. My neighbor is abusing my child by not providing it with breast milk. Arrest her, even though she is in no way responsible for the health and well-being of my child. Your body, your milk, you get to decide what to do with it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, you don't owe your neighbor shit. Their child is not your responsibility. Not the asshole. There's no legal case here. Also, your neighbor is crackers. Block her and go and see. Save the screenshots of her incompetently trying to blackmail you for breast milk. Maybe share them in the neighborhood chat. Not the asshole. Donated breast milk go through screenings and is given in priority to preemies because their stomach can't handle formula at all. I feel for Sally, but she seems to be able to afford the formula and to have healthy full-term baby. She may even be able to provoke late lactation if she consults a lactation specialist to help her. Not the asshole. She's creepy. You can choose where your milk goes. She's in no way entitled to it. And it isn't like you're just trashing it. You're donating it. She can try to contact organization who are handling the donating milk. Also, I agree with your husband to contact a lawyer to protect yourself. Wow. Your neighbor sounds unhinged. Sorry you have to deal with that, op. Not the asshole, obviously. You are being generous with a precious resource and trying to do it the right, safe way. She is acting crazy and entitled. Document everything to protect yourself against this person.